Welcome to another episode of the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble and Bicker on this December 15th, 2021. And today we have a very unusual client. Our client, because we have no guests, so it's strictly client, strictly us today. The client is ableism, sexism, racism, and cannibalism. So that'll be something that'll be chock full of wonder and interest, and everyone should follow along.
Behold, trapped in a hellscape of their own invention, socially unaware old white men bound by the pretense of being fake lawyers yet knowing no law, no exquisite Latin terminology, they are inexplicably compelled to quibble over minutia, squabble over triflings, and bicker like those who value their backyards far too highly without even knowing the difference between an easement and an alleyway. At this very moment, you have entered the heart of the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble and Bicker. Let's get started.
This is a very high ticket sponsor. We're making a lot of no money from this.
Hot ticket.
A whole lot of nothing from this.
Okay.
Because this is from Disney Plus. They're hot shit. This January, only on Disney Plus, a new series from renowned documentarian Marty DeBurgi. We may be coming to your town. The Monkees story. The shocking story of a seemingly wholesome rock band who tore through the world's cities like the four horsemen of the apocalypse with only depraved urges and sick kicks on their minds, leaving a trail of ruined hotel rooms and broken hymens in their wake. January 2nd, 1967, bassist Peter York is pulled over for drunk driving, and after his stomach is pumped, it is discovered that he has ingested 19 gallons of semen, 2 gallons of which aren't even from a human being. March 14th, 1968, in front of 6,000 teenage fans, guitarist Michael Nesmith bites the head off of a hippopotamus. And we can't even tell you what decadence on the cusp midget Davy Jones was up to. We may be coming to your town. The Monkees story. Drop bombing, January 6th, only on Disney Plus. Ooh, that didn't go over well. Yeah, that was silence from you guys.
I was hanging on every word.
Well, I was stuck on the fact that you called him Peter York, for one, and then the semen story is like something I've heard over the years associated with a couple of different celebrities. Not only that,
yeah, that was a joke.
I was also thinking about how, Mike Nesmith actually died a couple of days ago. I don't know if you heard about that.
I know.
That's so the pall of his death is still hanging there. And then you completely leave Mickey Dolenz out of the mix. It's like, what did he do to wrong you, Craig, that you completely forgot him?
I would have had a story for all of them. I did this on the cusp. I would have had a story for all of them, but I could, I didn't have the time. But yeah, I knew that when I wrote New York, I was like, wait, that's the guy from Radiohead, isn't it?
Say that again.
His name too, and no, it's Peter.
You're freezing up today. You've got a frozen face.
When I was writing it, when I wrote it, I was thinking Peter York. That's the guy from Radiohead. Is that also the guy's?
Well, if we're going to go to the York. The York maelstrom. It's Tom York in Radiohead, and it's Peter Tork in the Monkees.
Tom York.
Yes, Tom York in
and
Radiohead.
And Theodoric of York.
Peter Tork in the Monkees, and Michael York, who played D'Artagnan and was in Logan's Run.
What about York peppermint patties?
And that was in Peanuts.
But it wasn't Peanuts because it was a peppermint patty.
The kids in Peanuts had to live somewhere, so why not live in York, Pennsylvania?
Do you think they lived in Pennsylvania? I always kind of pegged them as New Yorkers.
Yeah?
I don't know why.
I thought they were Midwest. I always thought those kids were in the Midwest, like in the heartland.
Like in Ohio? Or like, what Midwest?
But if they were going to be in New York, I would say they'd probably be like upstate New York because of the nature of Snoopy's doghouse.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. No, I was saying upstate, not like, it wasn't like Seinfeld meets, that would be fun. Seinfeld meets Peanuts. Hey!
Yeah, it was, what's his name? Costanza would have played Charlie Brown.
That's right. Jerry! Linus! Anyway.
Well,
no, I was thinking upstate New York. Anyway, whatever.
well, now that we've got into the whole Monkees rabbit hole, now we can extricate ourselves out of that. So, but anyway, on the cuff, Greg, a decent sponsor. I don't know that Disney Plus is actually doing something like that, though. I hadn't heard anything.
Well,
like
they did the
coming
Beatles
from-
one this week, so I figured they might do this one.
Did Peter York directed the Beatles one too?
Oh, I thought that
No,
was
it
David.
was Marty DiBergi,
I thought it was David York.
the director of Spinal Tap.
It was Yorktown. Wait, so the name Marty DiBergi is the director of Spinal Tap?
That's the character, yeah.
So
the
you
director.
stole that name from somebody else's
I
creativity?
figure he's a good
Have you
documentarian.
become hack, Greg? Is that what you're saying?
It's not,
here?
I actually did research to find his name, how it's spelled, because I
Yeah,
can't
but
remember.
why couldn't you just make up your own guy?
Well, this
because
is
I wanted
this
to
is
be a
great.
known
This is great,
documentarian.
Matt. Greg's never going to do another sponsor ever. Now that you've just made a bunch of like trouble about his. I thought
You're
it was good.
triggering me, Matt. You're
I
triggering me.
thought it was
I gotta
fun.
say.
I wasn't laughing because there wasn't punchlines in it. There wasn't a timing punchline thing. There was a story, and I was listening, and I was trying to figure out why this would be on
Disney Plus.
Disney Plus, but
Yeah.
I was basically thinking, like, what if the Monkees were like Motley Crue, or even worse?
Well, they probably were. They probably
Well, I
were
don't know.
worse than them all.
They seem like pretty nice guys.
No,
Davey,
they all
I never
seem
heard
like
any-
that till you get behind the scenes.
Davy
Yeah,
Jones.
exactly.
Davy Jones lived about I want to say 2 hours from here.
I hear that Davy Jones used to like to have sex with spaghetti outside of local fast food restaurants.
I mean, he lived
wanted
here in
to bring up
Florida. I
this-
know he had a bunch of horses. He had like a horse place up
Okay.
in Ocala.
That he fucked.
Maybe he's kind of short. I don't think that would work.
Peter
Well, that's
Tork
it.
was legitimately a hooker.
What? Really?
No, I made that up.
No,
I have
I'm
no
saying
idea who
that
Peter
makes
Tork
sense.
is.
Because Brendan lives near all those circus towns where all the freaks retired to, and all the midgets and the fat ladies. So
Yeah.
Davy Jones was like he was masquerading his whole career. He was a midget, that guy. He was tiny.
Hey, you're not supposed to say that word. I thought.
Yeah, it's little people, Greg. These days, that word is
I mean, I don't
very
give a shit.
I
offensive to
just
people
thought
who
on
are
this
little
show-
people.
We
What?
say much worse words, so I thought midget would be
Oh,
okay.
He's not a
didn't
retarded
realize.
midget, if that's what you're saying. No.
Yes, he's
All
not.
right. Well, that leads us
But
perfectly
he was
into our client for today. Our
Yes,
client for today
ableism.
is ableism, sexism, racism, cannibalism. And let's talk about ableism since it sounds like that's what you guys are. So,
Am I?
you're
I don't know what that
ableists.
is.
You're practicing ableists.
Okay.
Well, there's ableism and then there's disableism, which is kind of another side of that coin. Ableism is kind of like the white privilege of discrimination against the disabled, in the sense that it's
You mean that like
dis-
I'm normal?
It's
so
in
I
the,
can
it's
lord it over.
discrimination in favor of able-bodied people.
Like if I wanted to play football and I didn't choose the guy in the wheelchair, I'm being an ableist.
Well, no, that'd be more discrimination against the guy in the wheelchair.
He can't
That'd
play
be more
football.
disableism. Ableism would be going into a courthouse and there's no ramp. In other words,
What do I have
there's
to do
only
with that?
stairs. I'm just saying that's what ableism.
Why isn't that disableism though? Isn't disableism?
Yeah, I'm
Because
confused.
disableism is specifically doing something because somebody's disabled, discriminating because they're disabled.
So if I
Ableism
smack,
is something that's discrimination in favor of able people. So the stairs are there to help able people get into the courthouse, but they don't help disabled people get into the courthouse. But they're designed to help abled people over disabled people.
but if
and
I
I-
push the wheelchair guy down the stairs, that's disableism.
Yes.
Or the baby carriage?
If you specifically singled him out to push down the stairs
Yeah.
because he's in the wheelchair, that's disableism. Correct.
And a hate crime, probably.
Possibly. Depends if there's hate in your heart
That's
or you're doing it
Battleship
for a joke.
Potemkin. That's what that is. That was like the cut scene from Battleship Potemkin when the wheelchair guy fell down the stairs, rolled down
Alright.
the stairs.
Any other movies from the 1917 you'd like to bring up, Greg?
Well, it just brought to mind that a wheelchair rolling downstairs.
All have to do with Battleship Potemkin.
I don't know.
Well, there's the baby carrot scene.
So ableism is really more of a passive thing, and that
Yeah.
it just happens.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's like kind of like white privilege is. You know, it's where things are in our favor without necessarily intentionally being in our favor. It happens because we're white. Things are easier for us, you know.
So wheelchairs are pretty
But
easy.
ableism was someone. Oh, sorry. Continue.
I was just going to say wheelchairs are easy because you either have a ramp or you have stairs, and that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Where does the line get crossed, or at what point are we discriminating against? Are we ableism whatever? Because somebody, I don't know.
Well, let's say there's a job as a telemarketer, and you have a person who's got a wheelchair, who's in a wheelchair, and somebody's not in a wheelchair, and you decide to hire the person who's not in the wheelchair because you hate people in wheelchairs. That would be disableism.
Right, but what I'm saying is, if he can't pick up a telephone and he works at a telemarketing outfit, that's ableism.
Like he has no hands.
Well,
He has
I mean,
no hands.
if there's some way to make it so that the person could do it, like you'd have to find a way to make it so that they could.
Like if he used his feet.
Yeah, but then, you know, I guess that's a very slippery slope for jobs, because it'd be kind of like becoming a professional basketball player and you're 3'10", you know, and so then
Right.
it becomes, is it ableism at that point because they're not as tall as them? Or but I mean, they do have short people in the NBA, though. They have people who are like 5'2". There's like some guys 5'2" in the NBA. I guess if you're a really good shot, doesn't matter how tall you are.
If you're really good, but then what if you're not? I'm not a good shot at all, so it's rigged against me.
Well, I think then it comes down to ability.
Well, if
So
the guy
then-
doesn't
and then
have
we
the
should just
ability
sue
to
the
go down
Olympics.
the stairs, well, we should just
Are we
abolish.
talking about abilityism now?
We should just abolish all sports, because
I-
inherently sports are ableist.
That's a different episode, and I think we should definitely explore that on a different time. But we should definitely get into how sports are against all of the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Did you
in
guys
terms
ever
of
read that?
professional
Did you guys
sports.
ever read that Kurt Vonnegut short story where, like, in the future they want everyone to be equal? So, like, if someone's a really good dancer, they put weight on their legs. And if
Yes.
someone's really beautiful, they put shitty makeup on them, like clown makeup, so they don't look so pretty. Where
Well,
they
it
want
seems
everyone to be
inherent
equal.
in golf, because they actually put handicaps in golf to even the play out for people.
Yeah, how does that work? I always heard of handicaps. What does that mean?
It just
If you're
basically means that
shitty
if somebody's
player-
better than somebody else, then they don't get any extra favors. But if you're not as good as other people, then you get a couple of strokes deducted off when you play, which has never made
Okay,
sense
that's
to me.
retarded. That's ridiculous.
Golf,
That doesn't make any sense.
golf as a sport is in a category all by itself. It's, my son started playing golf, and I'm like, really? Where did I go wrong with you?
I mean, I never
there's-
looked up the handicap in golf to get it fully delineated, but at the very
Yeah, I don't-
least,
I
mean,
it
obviously-
seems
but I
unfair
never-
to do that to the guys who are really good. You know, if you're going to be playing
Yeah.
at that level.
Well, I don't think the handicap thing applies if you're playing competitive golf with other people who are all really good. But what it happens is, if you have people that are really good at golf and they go out and they play with somebody that isn't, it's a shit show and it's no fun. So it'd be like, if you wanted to play basketball and, your buddy was, I don't know, Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan would be like, how about I just don't wear shoes and can only shoot with my left hand? I don't know. It's kind of that sort of thing. It's still dumb, but
Or you
whatever.
get the chance that just shatters kneecap with a sledgehammer, and then
Wow,
that
that's really
evens things out.
violent, but okay.
Well, yeah, but then he would actually
What
be
are-
handicapped.
Then he would be handicapped. For
What if
real.
Michael Jordan just had like a baby papoose on
He
his?
had a baby.
He had to play the whole game.
If he had to actually get
That would be
pregnant
a good
before he
idea.
played, he had to
No,
actually carry a
baby.
baby for 8 months before he could play a game.
No, he could take any baby he wanted, but he had to like play with a baby, like the extra weight of having a papoose or whatever that's
A
called.
papoose?
I think if I was going to play
Papoose.
Michael Jordan, I'd want him to carry a full-grown adult male. I'd want him to carry Matt on his back. That'd be about the only way I would have a chance.
Piggyback Matt.
I don't know that he could carry me. Shaq could probably carry me. I don't know if Michael Jordan could carry me, because Shaq is a monster.
He is a monster, but
he's a good man.
Okay, so ableism seems a little weird to me as a concept.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. It's something I've just become familiar with over the last number of years, and I've never really delved into it, and I haven't necessarily delved into it today either, but it's an interesting idea because of the fact that there's lots of people who could come under the heading of disabled in various different ways, and somehow things are are not in their favor. They work against them based upon whatever those handicaps happen to be. And I guess the question becomes, are you discriminating, or are you just not so thoughtful, in terms of helping?
Or are you just logical? Like, I hear that, like, in airlines, they won't hire any steward who's 300 pounds because they can't fit in the aisles. It's really hard. I'm a fat guy. I don't like it, but it makes sense. If I was a steward, even at my job, I'm a dishwasher, but it's very tight quarters, and I'm always getting in the way. People can get around me. But imagine being on an airplane, being a steward, where you're like trying to squeeze through past people.
Ableism in this case would be not having a space in the airplane for somebody who is handicapped. In other words,
that's what I mean. But it's not a handicap, but it's also like, you're fat. We're not going to hire you.
Yeah, I mean, getting into jobs is, I think, a very sticky wicket in terms.
Well, it's a big thing of
ableism, right? I guess the question becomes: at what point do we define disabled? Like, obviously, if the person was in a car accident and is now a paraplegic or something, well, that's pretty definable. But it seems to me that we as a society have started to really get real loosey-goosey with what is disabled and what isn't disabled. I've got really bad psoriasis, so I'm disabled now.
Yeah, I guess psoriasis, I guess, could prevent you from working at McDonald's because your skin flaking off is like an added ingredient they don't want in the food.
Right. Oh, they wouldn't care. They got so much nasty shit in that.
That's what's in the special sauce is like dangerous.
They couldn't work it like at a sauna, like at a gym, because
because gross,
Yeah, and I think these things come about because people are trying to be caring, and they're trying to be helpful to those who are less fortunate. But then
that's the big mistake right there.
Caring?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's where they went wrong.
There's a range of political spectrums in this country, and it ranges basically from absolute anarchy to fascism, and then everything else in between. And on the way to anarchy, there are people who, I think, care about other people to the extent where they don't care what it costs to help other people. And then there are people who do care about what it costs to help other people. And then there are those who marginally care, and they go, oh, they should be helped, but they won't do anything to help them. And then there are people who just don't care at all, and they don't want to help in any way, shape, or form. So,
and they want to round those people up in the camps and exterminate them.
That's further down the line.
Yeah, I don't know that anarchy is adjacent to caring for people so that we all take care. I don't know that that's what anarchy is.
Well, I'm saying that anarchy is the ultimate lawless society. So it's like on the way there. But
so you're saying that before you get to completely lawless, there's the point where everybody is just ridiculously giving a shit about everybody? And
well, that's also like on the way to fascism, too. It just depends upon where you're sitting on that entire spectrum. It's a broad spectrum,
It's a broad spectrum.
It is. It is very broad. It kind of goes like in a circle, where you go from the left to the right, but not a closed circle. So you have fascism and anarchy. They're kind of close to each other in terms of ideology. But
growing up in punk rock, though, it was like this idealized version of anarchy where everyone will just be cool and take care of each other. We don't need all this like cops and laws. But I mean, that's not going to work. Even when I was 14, when I was 15, I was like, guys, are you serious? It's like, people are
Anarchy
shit.
is like the step after communism. So you got
But I'm
communism,
saying
then you've
like,
got anarchy.
but when
Communism,
people
like
say
everything
anarchists, they
belongs
think
to everybody, and
when
your
people say
property belongs to me.
yeah, when people say anarchist, they think of like a bomb holding guy who just wants to fuck shit up. But I grew up with the idea that anarchy was like this ultimate goal where we won't need laws or government because everyone will be cool and chill and just be like, hey, you need some food? I got some extra food.
You're looking up a
But
weird definition of the word anarchy.
no,
Then.
but that was there were people who were that naive who thought, yeah, anarchy's the best. Like we don't need laws.
Yeah, if you don't need laws, the only way you would not need laws is if everybody was being cool.
Yes, right. Exactly. That's the thing.
So the
cool.
system,
know that people are not cool.
Right. The system, the structures, that's what's causing the problem. It isn't that people are the problem. It's that the structures that we've instituted among men are the problem. And if we blow them up and destroy them, then and everyone can just be cool, then everyone will just be cool, which is
it wouldn't be. It would
which
be
is
like
Greg is saying, like, if there's like
it'd be like Mad Max.
Yeah, if there's 6 of you in a log cabin and you kind of rely on each other, you're probably going to be pretty cool to one another. But you get about greater than 50 and somebody's going to go, you know what? Fuck that guy. That guy, the thing, I don't like that guy. Let's get rid of that guy.
Or on top of that, Humongous and Wes will come to your cabin and be like, we're stronger than you. We want your shit.
Humongous
Give us all your food. From Road Warrior, the Lord Humongous. The Warrior of the Wasteland. The
We're supposed to remember these movies from 40 years ago.
Yeah, which a classic. You should remember this movie.
I remembered Humongous. I didn't remember the other. I didn't get the other.
Wes was the guy with the red mohawk. His little.
Was that his name? I never knew he had a name. He was just mohawk.
Yeah, Wes.
I just thought they were the guys that were in the movie. I didn't even know they had names.
That's what would happen in anarchy. Like, you might have a cool group. Yeah, this is chill. This is cool. We're all helping each other. But there's going to be some bigger bastards, and you can't call the cops. You can't say, "Hey, these guys are trying to take our food."
Right. It kind of goes call back to like zombie shit. It becomes The Walking Dead.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what anarchy would be like.
Yeah.
There's no utopia there.
No.
Yeah. But these punk rockers that I used to talk to, that was their idea of like what anarchy should be. And it's like, even when I was 15, I was like, guys, that would never work.
They're nice ideas. It'd be nice.
They're nice ideas.
If you could trust everybody, then those things could work.
Communism is a nice idea.
Else.
Karl Marx laid out some great shit in Das Kapital and whatever, Communist Manifesto. It sounds all nice. Yeah, let's all share. And it always means people are shit, so it doesn't work.
That's what I mean, not the shit part, but that's really the basis of religion, is that if everyone can just believe this set of values or follow the word of the prophet, Greg, then we'll all be great. It'll be fine, because
that would be a great world if they followed my words.
But then somebody goes, but I don't think Greg meant that when he said thou shalt eat salami.
Some power hungry fuck is like, oh, but Greg meant this, so I can get rich and fuck you all over. That's like the Pope.
Wasn't that a song from the group Exile, Greg? I wanna fuck you all over. Wasn't that it?
Yes, it was, man.
I thought it was. All right, well, let's move on to the second part of this particular client, which is sexism. So, actually, I want to define what the suffix ism means, because I think that's what gets us all in trouble, really. So,
does it mean like you don't like it?
I thought it meant it's a belief system, like communism, capitalism. It's a structured belief in something.
Essentially, yeah, it's a distinctive practice, system, or philosophy. Typically a political ideology or an artistic movement. Typically.
Like Cubism.
Or Dadaism or something like that.
Dadaism, yeah.
Right.
But as we're using them, they would be more like a practice, system, or philosophy. So, that's when we're talking about the ableism. Now, sexism. Sexism is another thing that didn't really come about until, or at least get a voice until like the late 60s, apparently. And that's obviously a similar set of discrimination, but it's against people based upon their gender.
Right.
And nowadays, considering how gender fluidity is becoming a norm, it's like, where does that even come into play anymore? Can there be sexism if there are no genders anymore.
You're being very diplomatic with your language. It's basically like women were fucked over for 8,000 years.
Yeah, that's where it came out of. It came
That's
out
where
of
it comes out of.
the women's movement. But that'll be changing, though, you know.
But I think we've really gotten past like 80-90% of that. I mean, you know, women have the right to vote. Women have all sorts of rights. You know, no one is like smacking girls on the ass. Well, except for, you know, in Hollywood and getting away with it.
Lots of guys on TikTok are doing it as well.
Okay, well, TikTok is a whole different thing. But you know what I mean? It's like, it's not acceptable. If the four of us were somewhere and some douchebag smacked a girl on the butt and said, "Hey, sweetheart," we'd be like, "Fuck you, you're an asshole." I don't think whereas before, we'd be like, "Hey, I love Steve. He's got a panache."
Well, there was a guy who got elected to president about 5 years ago, with lots of people promoting the fact that he could just grab him by the pussy, and that was like a major issue at the time.
Was this Jimmy Carter?
It was.
Yeah.
He came back from his retirement to run for president.
Oh, Donald Trump, I get it.
That
Oh,
guy.
So at what, I guess, based on ism, it's obviously somebody who believes that. So Donald Trump is a sexist, I think, and practices sexism, I guess. But I think those people are pretty much in the minority now.
I gotta say though, I don't think it is. Like,
It's
I
like
think
the racists.
women. Do you guys know John Lennon has that song? I'm not gonna say the word, but women are the N-word of the world.
Right.
And no matter how, like even during the hippie era, all
John
these, like,
John
hippies-
Lennon was an asshole, but that's,
Yeah, I know.
That's
I know,
really
that's
a
the weird
different
thing.
subject. Yeah.
He used to beat up Yoko Ono.
Yeah, because he's an asshole.
He's
So
an
that's-
asshole. But I'm saying though, it's true though, because in this hippie era, in the 60s, there were all these guys like fighting for the rights of Guatemalan children, the Vietnamese farmers, and they'd still treat their women like fucking like Ward Cleaver, like make me some lentils, bitch. I'm planning.
Was that
our
like a
next
special
rally.
episode of Leave It to Beaver? Was make
No,
me some lentils, bitch?
No, I'm saying the hippie version.
Now a special episode of Leave It
The
to
hippie
Beaver.
version was like, yeah, even though I'm all enlightened and I'm going to be doing a mass rally about Vietnam, but still the women were like, "Oh, I'll cook the lentils and clean the house while you do that." And
You keep bringing up lentils. What is it with you and lentils?
I don't
that's
know,
what
but
hippies eat.
we've
Hippies
made
eat
a
lentils.
we've made a big jump from John Lennon was an asshole to all hippies were somehow were
Make their women
sexist and
make lentils.
A lot of
make
them
lentils.
were. A lot of them were. Where it was like they were fighting for
What-
rights
what if
of
the
every
woman likes-
human being.
What if the
But not
woman
women.
likes to? What if the woman likes to make lentils?
She might, sure.
Oh, she might. Like
She
it's
might.
not possible that a woman would like to just make lentils for her man.
It's like, what if she
because-
wants to be discriminated against?
Yeah,
Well,
sure.
Discrimination. Well, we're talking about making lentils right now. We're not talking about. We're not going to hire a woman for a certain particular job. We're saying the female has a certain role or a certain accepted job that she could or could not do. And we're saying that if she does do that, then she's being subjugated. If she makes lentils for her man,
If
she likes to make lentils.
boyfriend / husband expects her to do that and like just be like, "You're not coming to the rally. You're just my support system, so I can go do all the social justice."
I don't know what your heart on is for hippies right now. I really
No,
don't think
hippies
this was
were
a
terrible.
hippie problem. I don't think this was a hippie problem.
No, it's been a problem. But even the hippies who are so enlightened, supposedly, were,
Even
like,
the
fighting,
hippies.
fighting
think-
for everyone's rights. But
I
they
think the
wouldn't fight
hippies
for
were a bunch of
women's rights.
idiots. I
Greg, don't
think the
forget
hippies-
that hippies are boomers.
Yes, I know that.
Don't lose that particular knowledge.
But I'm not a boomer. I'm a Generation Xer.
Yes.
But I mean, it's like women are always forgotten. Like, Black Lives Matter. Women are still getting treated so shitty in the world, I think.
Are women in the United States being treated worse than black people in the United States, in your opinion?
Well, black women are really treated shitty.
That's
but
not the
I
question I
know,
asked.
I know. I sorry, I had to add that aside. But no, in some ways, women, like there's no like Women Lives Matter out there. It's just like
Why should
Well,
there
because
be?
they're
when
not out
most-
there getting shot by cops, Greg.
well,
no, they're not
most-
getting shot by
Except for
cops.
Breonna Taylor, who got shot
This
because
is true.
sleeping in her
most
apartment.
of the white women were just hanging out with the white men, enjoying all their privileges, and we're supposed to. I mean,
they don't enjoy all their privileges. They have to
Well,
fight.
what?
at the
Tooth and
very
nail for
least,
that
we've
shit.
moved on from men generally beating their women just for disobeying them. You know, I think we've definitely moved on from that. However, you know, there's
Have
still
we, though?
plenty of.
Have we? I don't
Yeah,
know.
I can tell you right now, I have never hit my wife.
No, you, yeah.
Right.
Even
I
50 years
don't
ago, you
know.
probably wouldn't be your wife, Matt.
I think domestic violence between men and women is more a matter of income than it is men or women. You know what I mean? Poor people beat each other up because they're under a lot of stress, and the man beats the wife and the wife cheats on whatever. But that has to do with economics. It doesn't have to do with some sort of systemic men.
But you're doing pretty well, Brendan. How come your wife hits you?
Well, that's a good question, because I mean, I'm the one that's being abused. I actually am the one. I'm the one that makes the lentils in the house. What the hell, man? But I make the
So
lentils.
his hat notwithstanding, Greg, he is a hippie because he makes
You
lentils.
bring home the lentils and fry them up in a pan.
We share in the bringing home the lentils, but my point is, I enjoy making lentils.
Don't you have to soak the lentils before you cook them?
Yeah,
Honestly, lentils are a giant pain in the ass, and they taste.
And they taste like shit.
I mean,
Yeah.
aren't they
Why
like
would you make
beans
them?
or something? Lentils?
Yeah, like beans.
Have a bean. Well, I'd say that this is a good spot to move into our cooking segment. We'll come back
Speaking
up with
of
a client.
lentils,
Speaking of food, so and then when we come back from our cooking break, we'll move into Ask Greg right after that, and then we'll revisit. We'll finish the second half of our
Oh, we got
client for
racism and
today.
cannibalism.
I know we still got to get to
address.
that. So let's work on our friend and savior, Waspy Soda Pop, and get him to be one and
Food is for eating.
with all.
Food is for eating. Food is for eating with Waspy Soda Pop.
Happy holidays, everybody. This is Waspy Soda Pop with Food is for Eating, and I got a special recipe for you just for the holidays. You're going to want to make this every year. This is easy roast duck for the holidays. When you want to get like a 4 to 5 pound duck, freshly ground black pepper, quarter cup of soy sauce, more or less. Now, whenever you're choosing your duck, you want to look for either like sheet metal ducks, a fiberglass lined duck, or a fiberboard duck. I'd go with sheet metal. It's less porous. It'll cook a little better. Anyway, you want to preheat your oven to 450 degrees. Remove the packaging from the duck and discard or reserve for another use. Then you cut off the excess straps from the duck. Place duck on a rack in a roasting pan. Add water to come just below the rack. You sprinkle the duck with pepper and brush with a little soy sauce. Roast for 30 minutes undisturbed. Don't make any loud noises. They get very, very nervous. Prick the top of the duck all over with the point of a sharp knife or an ice pick and flip it onto the back. Sprinkle with some pepper, brush with soy sauce again, add a little more water to the pan if the juices are spattering. You want to be careful. You want to get water on the duck because that's what ducks are for. Then you roast 20 minutes, then prick it all over. Brush it with soy sauce again. Roast 10 minutes, brush with some more soy sauce, roast for 5 or 10 minutes more if necessary until the duck is a glorious brown all over and an instant read thermometer is inserted into it, and that you got to shove that sucker through. You got to get through the sheet metal, and so that it measures at least 155 degrees. So you want to let it rest for 5 minutes before carving and serving. That is your holiday easy roast duck. You enjoy it. This is Waspy Soda Pop. Food is for eating.
So it's a decoy duck? He's suggesting you cook?
no, duct, D-U-C-T, duct, as opposed to duck.
Because you said fiberglass. I think you're talking about the fake ducks that you when you're duck hunting.
No, ducks. No, it's good. Now I know how to make a duck. I true story. I was doing some renovations work on this building, and my son, who's now will be 25 in March, was there, and he was much younger. And the man that I was working with told him, he said, you're shorter. He must have been, I don't know, 11, maybe 12 at the time. He said, I need you to get under the building, and I need you to identify where the ducks are, and then come up and tell me. And He's like, okay. So he went out, and then he comes back, and he comes to me, and he's like, Dad. I'm like, yeah. He goes, that guy over there, I think there's something wrong with him. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, he had me under the building looking for ducks. There's no ducks under the building. I'm like, no, man, no ducks. Did you see any tubes? Oh yeah, there's lots of tubes. I'm like, okay, that's what he's talking about. So that's an old joke around the house. Matt, you've gone silent. I can't hear you.
Oh, damn it. I always put myself on mute whenever Waspy is speaking so that I don't make any weird noises. And then I forget to unmute myself when I come back. I was here talking about a bunch of things, you know.
I just heard ducks. I did not know it was ducts.
Ducts.
Duct.
Duct.
That I think is another one of those tricky things from Waspy's accent. It makes it very hard to understand. Okay, well, there we go. There's a holiday recipe that everyone can use if they really like to chew on sheet metal. Now, that brings us to a new segment. We need to get like some kind of a jingle for you, Greg. So, ask Greg!
Law is for eating. Law is for eating.
I have actually a food-related legal question for you, Greg. So this is the segment of the show, everybody, where we actually ask Greg a question of a legal nature, and due to his lack of training in any way, shape, or form in the law, he will answer it to the best of his ability.
And lack of cognizance? I don't know if I'm up for this today.
I think you'd be totally up for this. So up until 1990 in Germany, sausages were able to be used as legal tender. Why do you think they stopped using that, Greg? Why is that no longer legal tender?
First of all, is this for real?
This is for real, yes.
You could go to a store and be like, here's a sausage. Give me a
in East Germany. It was East Germany up until 90, so that makes more sense.
Here's a sausage. Give me a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah. So you're saying, why is this not?
I will use a sausage to pay for tuition to your college.
Could you repeat the question again, Alex?
That's a lot of sausage.
So up until 1990, sausages were legal tender in East Germany.
What's the question?
And so the question is, why do you think that they stopped allowing the use of sausages as legal tender? And what do you think could they replace it with some other type of wurst, like Blattwurst or liverwurst?
Or maybe just coins or cash, something sensible. I think it was because a lot of Germans got trichinosis from having sausages in their pockets for days at some point. They might not want to buy anything for 2 days. So they had rotting sausages. Every time they reached in their pocket to get their lighter, they'd be getting like nasty rancid pork on their hands and spreading it around.
Wait, so every time they went in their pocket to get their lighter?
Yeah, whatever you have to go in your pocket for.
Did East Germans have to carry a lighter? Was it like mandated that they have to carry a lighter with them?
People reach in their pockets to grab lighters or cigarettes or whatever. They're cell phones.
You knew had special knowledge about something they have to keep in their pockets.
And I mean, like, you know, as I'm not just like a fake lawyer, but I'm also a fake historian. And in the 80s, there was a horrible trichinosis thing in Germany where people were just spreading this rancid pork in their pockets, you know.
They'd shake their hands, maggots would fly off. It was
horrible.
I remember. I saw the pictures.
It was disgusting. That's why the Berlin Wall fell down.
It was because of maggots flicking off their fingers?
Yeah, it was just chaos over there. Everyone was dropping from trichinosis.
Your word of today, trichinosis. Something for everyone.
Well, if you got rotten sausage in your pocket, that's going to happen.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that, Greg.
So I suspect that's why they changed the law.
Okay. Do you think that they can use some other type of food item for legal tender? Or is it just strictly
like beef jerky?
Or paper?
Beef jerky will keep in your pocket.
Okay. Beef jerky works because it's almost like paper.
Skittles. Things that won't rot in your pocket and give disease. Saltines are fine. They might get stale, but it's not going to spread disease.
They might like crumble though.
Yeah, that's whatever.
But I
It's
guess that's
this-
like loose change. You like one saltine is like a Deutschmark, and then when you break it into little pieces, it's like coins, whatever the coins are called in Germany. I can't remember.
Coins, I think.
Coins like that.
Coins.
These are coins. You should
do.
use them. No more sausage.
I am kind of a currency like fan geek, and I do know that right now in Germany you could buy a pack of cigarettes for 17 Skittles, or
Really?
a pack of beef jerky.
One pack of cigarettes goes for 17 Skittles.
17
That
Skittles.
seems low.
The
Since there's
Skittles
that known as
market.
tobacco growers in Germany, you know.
The Skittles market is going bananas. I need to get a bunch of Skittles on the open market into German hands. I mean, your typical fun-sized bag of Skittles comes with almost 17. A Share King, damn, that's got to be close to 100.
I mean, after the Skittles embargo of 1997, Skittles are very rare in Germany. It's
Who is Who is holding the embargo?
Wasn't that Marshawn
America.
Lynch that did
okay.
that? I know.
Yeah,
I think that was a.
We were mad at Germany at the time for the Olympics thing,
The
where they
great
had
Skittle
so many,
embargo.
like every single woman on their team was a man, the East German team. So we were just like, enough is enough. You can't keep doing
that
this
was
shit.
sexism happening. All right, well,
Or-
Brendan,
or
I'm sure has a
ableism.
question that he wants to ask you too. So let's let Brendan get his question because
Oh,
we'll
yeah,
run
let
out
me-
of time.
I love
let me-
testing my law knowledge with you guys.
Let me pull this up.
You're an
Greg.
excellent fake attorney, Greg.
Dear Greg, reader writes,
Dear
Here's-
Greg.
here's my story. So I got pulled over. I was drunk, but I thought ahead. I chucked the keys out of the passenger side window, climbed into the back where I had a full bottle of Jack Daniels. My girlfriend remained in the passenger seat. I exited the car from the rear view or the rear door, chugged the Jack in front of the police officer. In fact, I chugged as much as I could. So, given this, is this just public drunkenness? Because he can't prove I was drinking or drunk at the time he pulled me over.
So this is a real thing. Some
This
guy
is a-
actually pulled this stunt.
This is a real thing from a real attorney that I know in the state of Florida.
So
This was a call he got on his voicemail.
So I think this falls under the jurisdiction of ghost drivers because there's no one in the driver's seat. So it must have been a ghost.
Right.
And it's illegal for a ghost to drive a vehicle in many states. I think in Florida especially. Alligators can drive in Florida legally and crocodiles, but not ghosts. So if there's no one in the driver's seat, I think the police officer had every right to say, well, either way, you still broke the law because your girlfriend's in the passenger seat. Nobody's driving unless it's a ghost.
So he's
Is it a
gonna,
ghost or a goat? What are you saying, Greg?
I thought I was saying ghost, but a goat is also illegal in Florida to drive a car.
really, I didn't know
What if they
that.
can get a license though?
I
No,
often
they
have
can't.
I often have my goat drive around in my golf cart all the time, so he's not.
But that's the weird thing, though. Alligators can get a license. I don't understand why an alligator is different than a goat in Florida under the law.
Well, I think it's got to do with one's a reptile and the other's a mammal.
Is that what it is?
That is a major difference
It's an
between the
ism.
two.
It's a reptilism.
It
It's
is.
another ism.
It is a filthy, filthy thing in that Florida is very pro alligator and anti other animals. It's
Mammalism.
it's
You're
alligator.
anti-mammal.
Yeah, they'll save the manatee, but will they save the gator? No. They'll just
Well,
make
we did.
shoes out of
Here's the
them.
thing: we did save the shit out of the gator. The gator was endangered. We brought it back so much so that they're just chopping up kids at Disneyland.
There's a
sign-
new ride there, actually. You bring the kids. You're tired of them at the end of the day. It's time to go to the gator chopping ride, kids. Let's go.
Yeah, there are signs not 2 miles from my house where you're told to beware of getting too close to the water with your dog, or he's going to be gator food. So
You're just on Pirates of the Caribbean, and all of a sudden a gator will grab your kid out
yeah.
of the fake water, whatever.
There was
they
a,
had
there was a guy in Orlando that there was a gator in the pond, and he thought it was a fake gator. So he got over the fence and then got down into the water with the gator to get a friend to take a picture of him because he thought it was fake. Turns out, nope, and it took his arm off.
Hey, it wasn't using it anyway. Well, that once again is a brilliant legal analysis, Greg, of the gator driving situation in Florida.
No ghost riders in the sky in Florida.
I will send an email back to this client.
Please do.
Ghost gators. All right, let's get back to our client. We still have to deal with racism and cannibalism. Now, racism, it's such a highly debated topic these days. I don't know that we're going to really add.
Is it debated, or is it just bad?
It's definitely debated left and right. I mean, the whole debate going on regarding teaching critical race theory in the schools is highly under.
I guess I just think of debated as people with two intelligences debating something.
Oh,
but that is basically just
goodness. I'm not going to be the defender of the other side of this argument.
You don't have to be.
Just to simply disparage those that have a different point of view.
It's not a different point of view. It's a racist, stupid point of view.
That's because Greg practices elitism.
Yes.
So it's not elitism.
Let's take
I'm a moron, but it's basic intelligence.
Yeah. Okay. So let's exclude this from the category of people of a different race are inferior to people of a different race. Let's take that off the table.
Yeah. That's racism.
But that's not just racism. Because, I think that, again, going back to my thing, I think with most people, like you're saying, that's pretty commonly accepted. But now we've gone the other side of it, where you get into things like white privilege, or you get into this almost reverse racism where it's like, anything that's white is wrong, and I'm not saying that's all wrong or all right, but it's certainly a discussion worth having. And I don't think people that are having discussions on either side of that are stupid.
I'm sorry, the critical race theory people, it's like, oh, we're finally teaching American history correctly, like what happened for most of our history, and then all these people are freaking out about it. It's like,
it's not.
How dare you teach our kids that we were horrible to all those slaves?
It's not quite that simple.
It's not that simple, but
I wish it was. I wish it was that the people.
But that is happening, though. People don't like that.
I wish it was as simple as you're saying, which is that people who want critical race theory taught are simply trying to get people to understand the history of how slaves were mistreated. That's been going on since we were when you were in middle school. Did you get the idea that slavery was okay?
No, because I watched Roots. That was a big thing when I was a kid. Okay. But we knew that, like, in class, we talked about manifest destinies as if it was this glorious thing, even though we were like, oh, it's the noble Native Americans. But it was like, oh yeah, but it was basically a good thing that we like all this barren land where these Indians were just doing nothing, but we properly, exploited it and made this glorious country. It wasn't shown as the horror that it was. And slavery, the same thing. We talked about slavery a little, but it was
talking about slavery a little.
Great.
Wow, schools in New York.
We didn't talk about it much. I went to very good. In upstate New York, we had very good schools. It was a good school system, but they still glossed over it. And this is the 70s. I'm sure in the 50s, they didn't even talk about it.
But we're in 2022. We're not in the 50s or the 70s.
But I mean, like the Howard Zinn book, remember that People's History of the United States?
People's History of the United States. I read it.
That is the real history of America. It's like, yeah. We did all this horrible stuff. I know America has this great promise, and it's not like I want to tear down America. I want to tear down the bad things about America, but I think America, still in the Constitution, still in the Declaration of Independence, has this great promise that we haven't lived up to. And when you read our history, we realize we didn't live up to it at all.
Right.
All men are created equal.
All I'm saying
is this bullshit.
All I'm saying is, Greg, there there are people that could be on either side of this debate, and one side is not stupid and the other side is smart.
Okay, so if somebody says, "Oh, you're teaching my kids about the horrors of slavery," that's critical race theory. I don't want you teaching my kids that.
That's not what anyone who's arguing against being in Florida.
Really?
That's not what anyone who's arguing against critical race theory is arguing.
What are they saying? What's their problem with it?
Part of their problem is that a lot of it overemphasizes that if you are white, you're inherently racist just because you're white.
Is that history?
No, that's why people are complaining.
I know, but if
it's
you read our
psychology.
history, if you read our history, you'd basically look at us as like the stormtroopers in Star Wars. Like, we're the bad guy. We did some shitty things in American history, really bad things for centuries.
So we should hate ourselves in the present moment.
We should at least realize we did some really shitty things.
Yeah, but what Brendan's trying to say, Greg, is that because you are white, you are inherently a racist, and that's what's being argued.
I know, right. But I don't think that.
So, Greg, are you admitting finally to being a racist? Are you finally coming out of the closet and going, "Yes, I am a racist"?
I do agree that many people would say I'm a racist inherently because I am white, even though I'm Hispanic.
Right, but
Hispanic.
You're racist. Hispanics
yes,
mainly are white.
I'm saying that critical race theory came up in colleges. It was something that nobody even talked about.
Yes, but that's not my question, Greg. My question,
that
I'm still posing to you,
part of it.
Is that are you finally admitting that you're a racist?
He is. He's a racist. Inherently.
Okay, good.
I can't answer.
I will take your lack of answer as
yes.
the affirmative that you are a racist.
I
can say for myself that there have been things that I've had to eliminate from my own personal psyche that were racist perspectives over the course of my life. That I didn't realize that they were until I went, oh shit, that was like a racist thing to think, or that was a racist thing to say. You're going through a side of town that's primarily African American and you lock your doors. That's a racist thing to do.
What if it's a really bad African American?
Well, then it wouldn't matter whether they were white or black.
Crime.
It wouldn't matter if they're white or black, though.
Yeah.
But the point I'm saying is that it's strictly because there were some more African Americans in that area. That's why the doors got locked.
Right.
Not because they did anything or it was a bad part of town.
Right, but there's a shitty part of my town that is unfortunately predominantly through no fault of their own African American.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have my kid walk through that part of town by themselves. Is that racist?
Just depends upon if it's a knee-jerk response or not. I mean, all I'm saying is that I'm basing this on my own views changing, not on hypotheticals that you're putting forth.
Okay, but it's not a hypothetical. I wouldn't let my 12-year-old.
No, I'm saying, but I'm talking about why I changed my point of view.
Oh, well,
so that's what makes it hypothetical for me, because that what you're saying isn't my experience that I was relating.
But man, I hope if you're in the south side of Chicago,
you were relating a hypothetical, or you were relating?
No, I was not relating. I was relating an experience of my own.
Matt, if you're in the south
I
locked
locked my
Chicago
door because there were black people around. I'm like, well, why did I do that?
I'm just saying, Matt, if you're in the south side of Chicago, and predominantly black, you should lock your door. It's gnarly. I lived in Chicago. It's a gnarly part of town.
Do they go around pulling people out of their cars?
I don't know, but it's still fucking gnarly. It's
well, I eventually
I'll give you an example. I'll give you a real world example. Holly was in this particular part of town, and she slowed down because she was trying to figure out, and she couldn't see the street signs. 4 people ran to her car because they thought she wanted to buy drugs. Scared the shit out of her, and she drove away. That really happened.
And man, I don't know if it's racism, but it's just practical.
I'm just saying I don't think it's racist.
See, I think Brendan has
I wasn't saying that was racist.
Like a lot of logical people have the realization that, black people have been this underclass and they've been pushed down. So, they usually live in bad parts of town. Just like when I go to a part of town, even if there's no black people and there's lots of check cashing places and strip clubs, I'm like, oh, I could get mugged tonight because this is a bad part of town. It's poor. It's poverty.
Now,
so the question is, if you go to an area that is predominantly white, that is a sketchy part of town.
Yeah,
I would lock my door.
I would absolutely lock my door.
Yeah.
There's plenty of those in Florida. If you had stayed
Yeah.
here longer, I could have took you to some, and we would have locked our doors. For
I
sure.
probably wouldn't have anyway, because I
White meth
I
heads.
laugh in the face of all sanity.
But to go back to that, I used to have a thing about Hispanic people, because when I was a kid, I got beat up by Hispanic kids a lot. And I remember growing up, and anytime, no, Greg's not Hispanic. Like,
that's why you resent me, isn't it?
No, that's right.
That's why you always give me shit.
But I did have a prejudice. I did just kind of assume they were all assholes. And it took me until, I don't know, my 20s when I went, well, that's just because, I had bad experiences with that particular group of people. But that doesn't mean that all people are like that. So right. I know that's my own, that's something where I went, wow, that is kind of racist.
Yeah, I'm just saying, from my own point of view, it's like I had to recognize that there was a tendency to think in racist views, and I had to start like weaning those out of my thoughts, because there were things that were ingrained from, I don't know, from dealing with other people and their own points of view, and somehow that got into my thoughts, and so I had to jack them out of there because they didn't make sense analytically,
Yeah.
So what I realized after doing customer service in my 30s is that I don't like Russians. Oh, and I hated it because
they're assholes.
Being like, they're so short and rude, and kind of just like they throw their credit card at you, and they're just like,
But you can't say you don't like all Russians, Greg.
No, I've met some Russians that I loved. I've actually met some Russians that were delightful.
I'm pretty close to passing judgment on all of them.
I'm saying though, chances are, if a Russian customer comes up to your cash register, they're not going to be the warmest person that day. They're going to be like,
it'd be more of a cultural thing, though, as opposed to.
I know, and I know what the Russians went through. I mean, if I grew up in communist Russia, I'd be a fucking asshole too.
Would you?
I wouldn't be that warm.
Would you wear a jumpsuit and be like a macho dickhead because you
that's mafia
by your political system?
I'm not even talking about mafia guys. No, I understand why those Russian mafia guys are the way they are, because they were like grew up in communism, so they're like, I'm gonna make money any way I can. Like I was put down and I had all these strictures against me, so I'm just gonna like whatever. It's anarchy. It's anarchy once again.
Anarchy.
They go the other way. They go the other way.
And anarchy brings us to cannibalism.
It does, absolutely. Because when everything breaks down, we wind up eating each other.
Okay, I want to say, first of all, I've probably said this many times before, cannibalism is not such a bad thing. If someone's dead and you're starving, you got every right to eat them. Why should you die? Who gives a shit if the only food is a human being that died already? I'm not saying you killed them. That's murder. But cannibalism, it's such a
What if you keep them alive and just cut off parts of them along the way?
Well, you're murdering them. I'm saying.
No,
I'm saying
not dead.
I don't know that cannibalism can be reduced to the Donner Party. I think cannibalism as a subject is the idea that it is culturally okay to eat humans just as much as it is a cow.
Well, if they die, yeah, exactly.
No,
but you're not eating cows that die. You're eating cows that are killed.
Yeah, somebody killed the cow so you could eat it.
You don't want to eat a cow that died of natural causes.
Yeah, I don't want to eat a chicken that I found on the side of the road. I'm like, well, it's dead. I guess I'm going to eat it.
Yeah, I know, because it didn't have a chance to cross the road.
It didn't have a chance to cross the road.
A roadkill raccoon, you'd be like, that's good eating.
Well, that's been done. I think there are roadkill recipe books out there.
No. And why not?
Yes.
They're probably fine.
No. We're going back to
you got to pick some I don't know, some...
Depends if they hit the gallbladder or not. That ruins the meat, But cannibalism is still in existence in this world.
Yes.
At least, I think it's in Papua New Guinea. It still is looked upon as a normal thing.
I have a friend who actually was adopted by a tribe of cannibals.
Wait, what?
You have a friend that was adopted by a tribe of cannibals. Go on.
Yes,
one of my great friends, his father went to Papua New Guinea for a trip, and he met, he did deep bush tourism,
That's Las Vegas, Greg. You're talking about.
I want to do some deep bush tourism.
Deep bush. And he was there for like months. And I still have a cassette recording of their songs and stuff. He made me a cassette.
They're cannibal songs?
Yeah, cannibal songs.
I eat the people.
You know what's weird? They sound a lot like Britney Spears. It's weird. I don't understand why.
You eat me. Oh, that's the Barney version. Sorry.
I'll chew on a bone.
But they adopted him into their tribe because they liked him so much.
Okay.
He didn't have to eat human flesh or anything. They do it very rarely. It's just something like, oh, this guy died. Let's eat him.
No, they do say that human tastes like pork.
Yeah, long pork, they call it.
Long pig.
Long pig.
Yeah.
Or
makes sense.
No, they don't say long pork, Greg, because a pork is the meat of the pig.
It's very sweet, human flesh, apparently, from reading books about human flesh being cooked.
I wonder if it's as good with all of the vaccinations that are running through our bodies these days, though.
Yeah.
Like the meat is.
I feel
tasty.
like I mean, as somebody who cooks a lot, I feel like human meat would be super greasy and fatty and gross.
I think it depends if you're cooking me or if you're cooking like somebody else.
I'm just saying, like maybe in Papua New Guinea, where they're just zero body fat and running around in the jungle, maybe. But your average American, gotta be gross.
I'd prefer to eat them. That would be like the nice long pig. That would be all like veal, like under.
No, it would just
veal is the baby cow, Greg. So
yeah, it would be just greasy
of humans.
fat.
You're eating children, is what you're talking about, Greg.
Yeah, that's probably the tenderest meat of all humans.
Oh, I'm sure you're going to eat people.
Well, at least Greg is finally admitting that he'd be willing to be a cannibal. He's currently a racist, and he's definitely against short people. So these are all the things that we've found out today about Greg.
And I've slandered the singer of Radiohead today.
And that you can use Skittles in Germany to buy a pack of cigarettes.
I'm still getting on the Skittles market right now.
I do think, though, I've said this before, though, like I don't get the thing like, oh, you were dying in the Andes when your plane crashed and you ate this human being. Like, this is a problem. It's like, I would have died if I didn't eat this human.
I don't know that it was a problem. It's just more of a shocking thing for people because of the idea of eating your buddy.
I know. It's shocking, but don't give them shit about it. Don't be like, oh,
we're the Donner. Are there a bunch of people in Portland that are being given shit because they're eating dead people that I don't know about?
What's happened in history? Like,
wasn't that the movie Sixth Sense was all about? That is the I ate dead people.
There is a group of people that are discriminated against because they will eat dead people, and people are shit shaming them about their dead people eating habits. And
I think that if you're a racist, you have to eat the person you lynched.
Oh, I think that's fair.
Yeah,
I'm with that.
Yeah, I think that if you're going to go that far, then you have to take it the other step. Anyway, all right. Well, this has been quite an entertaining show today. I think we could have gone for like 2 more hours.
But if you're a good racist cannibal, you wouldn't eat the flesh of another race. So.
Well, no, because you think of them as property.
Yeah, I think you would be the opposite. I think if you were a racist cannibal,
you would raise them for.
You would totally just eat the meat of another race.
And then Waspy Soda Pop would be doing a whole thing about people is for eating.
Oh my God, we're the worst people in the world.
No, we've determined that actually it's just you, Greg, because we've
I know
secrets have come out today.
And I'm a cannibal.
Yes.
You're kind of you're cannibal curious, is what it sounds like to me.
I am. You guys know, like 20 years ago, there was this thing on the internet where you could buy this thing called, I think it was called like Hungu. It had a weird name. And it was like, we made some like protein product.
How do you spell that?
It's like human flesh. If you're a cannibal curious, you can buy this. And it was like, how do you know what human flesh tastes like? How did you make this to taste like human flesh? Unless you've eaten human flesh.
Or they're just buying on the fact that most people won't check into it and they can make it taste like however they want to make it taste like.
I was going to say, this is in the back of the magazine under the Sea Monkees ad, right? It's like the Sea Monkees, that's a whole farce.
The X-ray specs.
Yeah, the X-ray specs, and then
this is what
the hand buzzer and human flesh.
Like.
It's Soylent Green is what it is. Soylent Green. That's what it's all coming to.
Snowpiercer.
Okay. Well, as anybody have any last thoughts about our client for today? Our client once again was ableism, sexism, racism, and cannibalism, which is actually having a comeback apparently.
Well, if any of you guys die naturally, I will eat you gladly if I'm starving.
You will grok us just like the guy from Stranger in a Strange Land to gain our wisdom and our spirit.
Grok just when I understand you. That means eating.
They understand. Yeah, it's from eating the person. That's where grokking comes from. It became that in popular culture, and we're at least in
hippie culture,
in conversations, because people didn't actually read the book.
Okay, yeah, I didn't either. So I just thought grok meant I understand you.
Yes, you understand them well because you have consumed their essence.
Yeah, and then I'll go beat my girlfriend because I'm a hippie.
Yeah, and then
make her make lentils for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Lentils with her liver.
I'm gonna go downstairs and make Holly make
lentils and fava beans with a little bit of Chianti. Okay.
I don't have anything else.
That was just his hands, everyone. Don't be afraid. Well, once again, this is the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker. Next week, we're going to have an interesting show, and I think things will be interesting between now and the end of the year. We should be having an interesting end-of-the-year show also. New things are afoot, but not major things, but new things. Anyway, what else do we have? I have nothing else to say, so bye.
Bye.
Your consultation with the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker has ended. You may pay your retainer at www.qsblaw.org. Please exit to the right of the water cooler and grab a candy from the front desk. We hope to see you again soon, but you need to leave now. I said leave. Why don't they ever listen? Get out! Get out!